Welcome back, everybody. Student artists from South Africa's premier art training institute, Artist Proof Studio, have been given the challenge to interpret each of the United Nations Sustainable Goals in a visual form. Now, this is what's going to happen. Each artist will have the opportunity to bring their own artistic flair to one of the SDGs now, and the completed works will be showcased at the upcoming 2018 Africa Shared Value Summit taking place at the Maslow Conference Center in Sandton on the 24th to the 25th of May this year. In 2015, the United Nations mandated nations of the world to meet the challenge of achieving the targets set. The goals cover a wide array of challenges from climate change to world hunger, which will take the collaborative effort of the entire world to solve sustainably and to the benefit of us all. Khanyi Magubane, the spokesperson of African Shared Value Summit, and Nathi Simelane, the special projects, join us for more on this. A very good morning to you three. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having us.
Now I'm going to start with you, Khanyi.
Yes.
Talk us through about what is expected of each artist.
Well, you know, these artists are producing amazing work at the Artist Proof Studio, and that's why for us as the Africa Shared Value Summit, it was important to bring in, you know, an artistic interpretation of the 17 Sustainable Development Goals. Now, the Africa Shared Value Summit is in its second year, and what it advocates for is a business model called shared value, and that speaks to profit with purpose. So challenging businesses to do business in such a way that also has social impact. We've known that it's all about profit,
Yeah.
But businesses have also damaged society in many ways, from the environment to manufacturing, the pollution we've put in the air. You know, there's a lot that we've done, and I think it's time now for business to use the resources that it has. You know, a guy that can sign a check for 10 million can get a lot more done than an NGO who's looking for 100,000 just to do something. So that's what shared value is about, to say how can business start looking at social impact. And so this is one of the projects which we've tied into the Africa Shared Value Summit, to say what can happen when an artist just takes each goal and artistically brings it to life. We don't know what's going to come out at the end of the day, but we're so excited to see what it is that Nathi and his artists are going to be working on.
Yeah. I want to engage you more on how business, falls into the social impact in just a moment. But Nathi, what's your role? What are you going to bring to this particular initiative?
Well, for us, it's been very, very interesting working with the students and looking at the goals, because one of the major things that we try and get our artists to be involved in is the aspect of them looking at ways that they can give back to the community or raise awareness on certain issues. So that's exactly what the SDGs do, because then it allows the artists then to actually try and figure out ways creatively, visually, to raise awareness, to try and get dialogues going around these issues, like we said, pollution, zero hunger. So those sort of things is then challenged upon the artists then to try and figure out ways to get the conversations going and get the awareness going using the visual art medium. So that's been a very, very nice challenge for us, and it's been a nice journey working with the artists and seeing the amazing works that they're going to be putting out.
Well, I can imagine. So, how do you think this particular initiative is significant?
Yeah, well, I think it's a great project that I'm involved in, in terms of reinterpreting the goals, as an artist, using metaphors just to interpret the goals, and I can say that it's a great opportunity as an artist to be part of such projects, you know, because it gets to you get to bring out your voice, you know, have some sort of a conversation with people, visually, with an artwork, with the use of metaphors and stuff. Yeah, I can say it's a great project to be part of as an artist, as an emerging artist. Yeah. Okay,
let's talk about the artworks that you guys have brought here. When you were coming up with that kind of artwork, what went through your mind? What is it? What message that you're trying to portray or project in that particular artwork?
Well, I was working with the artists, 16 artists in total. Some are actually still students, some are emerging artists like Claire over here. A lot of those guys then, the stuff that they came through was, they came up with was very, very challenging in terms of them trying to understand what it is that they're working with first. So doing a bit of research on the topic first, and then trying to further go into the topic and then try and properly understand it in a sense of how can we push it a bit further, how can we relate that topic to our community, their community, where they come from, to the rest of South Africa, to even to a point where it's like global, because a lot of these issues are global issues. So it allowed them to do quite a lot of research, and it allowed them to actually push the boundaries, and then it's just up to them in terms of like pushing it into their medium of printmaking, which is what they feel most comfortable with.
Now, Khanyi, he raises a very important point, that of pushing the boundaries. And, you know, the concept of shared value is not only defined by conventional needs, but by societal needs as well. So where are we in as a South African society? Where are we in recognizing or making sure that business is actually a medium or a vehicle in solving societal needs?
You know, it's been quite exciting to see how South African businesses have actually taken to shared value. I mean, at the summit this year, we're going to be hearing of case studies from companies such as Discovery and Woolworths and Nando's, you know, your blue chip companies that have come on board, like your ABSAs, for instance, that have really taken to creating a shared value strategy in the business. So I think that awareness is starting, and I think that businesses are becoming aware that it is a future-proof strategy where business is moving to even globally, because a shared value is a global concept, and the Shared Value Summit has been running in New York for 10 years, and one of our key speakers this year is actually one of the forefathers who penned the shared value strategy. His name is Mark Kramer from the FSG Group, and he's coming to help South Africans build an African framework, you know, because we are the ones that understand our societal challenges. What they do in New York can never work in South Africa or the rest of Africa. So that's why we bring thought leaders from different African countries to come in and investigate what is the African framework for shared value and how can it translate back into the 17 Sustainable Development Goals, because Africa has been challenged with the rest of the nations of the world, you know, to also meet, you know, the 2030 goals of the SDGs. So we do have a responsibility as business ourselves to make sure that we are in that and we're not left behind.
Indeed. Now, we literally have 15 seconds. We talk of world hunger, we talk of climate change. Why do you think this particular subject moves people so much?
Because it's the reality that we're facing and we are feeling its consequences. You know, what's happening in Cape Town with the water crisis, that should tell you where we are with climate change. It's no longer an ideal, it's a reality, and it's one that we are living with, it's one that affects us in our homes, and that's why it's so topical.
Okay, this should be interesting.
It is.
It should be very interesting. Thank you to you three for joining us. We appreciate your time.
Absolute pleasure. Thank you so much.
All right, Artist Proof Studio is an artist training institute that offers a 3-year printmaking program for upcoming artists from across South Africa and neighboring countries as well. It's a community-based organization co-founded by artists Kim Berman and Nhlanhla Xaba, who act as both the teachers and mentors. Well, this is Morning Live. It is 8:45. Let's go for a coffee break now, shall we?